What makes a supercar a real supercar? Is it the design? Is it a flashy color? Is it the power? Is it the sound? Or is it all of those things? Well, McLaren thinks that they have it figured out, and they just released an announcement video of their new vehicle, the McLaren W1, where they actually talk about what makes a real supercar a real supercar. And truth be told, given their history when it comes to making supercars and their success in the automotive and Formula One world, I don't think that their formula is wrong. In this video, we see people like Lando Norris, Zach Brown, and a bunch of other people from the McLaren development team and marketing team talking about what makes a supercar a real supercar, because McLaren feels that they have developed not just another supercar, but the real supercar. So the video takes it a step further after everyone has given their testimony to go into the different technologies and specs that are wrapped up into this beautiful papaya orange package that they call the W1. And I have to say, just by first glance, I'm really excited to see this thing in action. So have McLaren develop the real supercar? Let's jump right over here to McLaren's website and take a look at the new McLaren W1 to see if they've actually developed the real supercar. So here we are on the landing page, and just at a first glance, and as we can see, the graphic kind of moves around with my mouse here, so I'll try to keep the movement to a minimum. This car has a ton of extreme aero. I mean, from nose to tail, this vehicle is just covered in active aero, and I personally love how aggressive it looks, and I love how bold and active. If there's one thing I've always loved about supercars, is that just about every part of the vehicle serves a function or a purpose, and this vehicle is no different, and it's something out of a designer's dream. I'm really digging the new taillight design here, this single LED strip, as well as the detached rear wing that is very active, as we'll get into later. And of course, the mid-mounted exhaust here has always been one of my favorites to actually make more room for the diffuser and downforce that this thing can produce. So right away, we're greeted with McLaren's new doors, as they are calling the McLaren anhedral doors, also known to the rest of the world as gull wing doors. So this is a first for McLaren to use these types of doors on their vehicles, but I gotta say that it actually works. It's a little different compared to what I'm used to with the butterfly doors that they have on the McLaren P1, but it still looks very good and it screams supercar material. And if you look here, the panels on the doors, this is amazing here. It's just like separate panels that make up one single door, but it's not just like one solid piece, and you can just see where all of the extreme aerodynamics, where the air can just flow in and out of these doors, and how these doors are just more than just a way to get in and out of the vehicle, but they actually contribute to the function of the vehicle in terms of its extreme performance. So let's move on a little bit further. So it says here, the real supercar. I'm not gonna read this word for word. You can visit the website and take a look at it yourself, but the first glance, you can kind of see a lot of similarities to the P1 with the initial overall design, as well as design cues taken from the McLaren Senna, which ultimately, I like this a lot. It's a little bit more curved than the Senna, but it still has a lot of some of the similar elements, of course, like with this huge intake here. It has more aggressive aero over here that feeds into here, and so same thing right off of the front wheels here and then the front. This is a very, very beautiful and unique design, and even with the rear wing detached, it still looks very, very good and very aggressive here. I'm loving the two-tone with the orange on the top and the carbon fiber on the bottom with the aggressive aero. Loving it. All right, so now we're getting into the powertrain. So McLaren says that this is the most powerful McLaren that they've ever built with this powertrain, and it's called the MHP8 engine. And it is their brand new lighter E-module, F1 derived battery technology, and the fast and sharp shifting 8-speed dual clutch transmission, which includes an integrated E differential. So that's a lot of fancy words to say that this thing is beautiful. It's a twin turbocharged V8 with hybrid capabilities similar to Formula One technology that we see. And all of that power is delivered directly to the rear wheels, this rear axle here. And we'll get into how much power is actually produced by this powertrain in a little bit. So as stated before, this is the MHP8 V8 engine, and it is capable of producing 1,275 PS. So you gotta bear with me here. PS is a unit of measure that is used in Germany that is nearly equivalent to horsepower. It's about 98% equivalent to that of horsepower. So looking at these numbers, we can deduce that it's roughly about 12, a little over 12, nearly 1,300 horsepower as well. So it's about 1,260 something amount horsepower, but we will get that exact number later on. So performance everywhere. I'm so sorry that this keeps popping up, but we're gonna take it. So performance everywhere, as we can see, the McLaren is really focused on this ground effects technology, very similar to what we're seeing now in the current Formula One generation cars, where they're producing most of their downforce from under the vehicle. And McLaren looks like they have taken cues from that, from what they've done in Formula One, and applied it here to achieve a huge amount of aero and a huge amount of downforce as well. And as we get a little bit more into the aerodynamics, we can see that this front splitter here is active at certain speeds, and it redirects the airflow over the brakes, which is really amazing here. And of course, we see here on the rear wing how the air flows depending on what application is being needed, if you're cornering, if you're in race mode. But all of this is F1 derived technology. McLaren in the video talks about how when in this mode, the suspension stiffens and lowers, as well as extends the rear wing. I believe they said about 300 millimeters to make it into a long tail active technology that really helps to produce somewhere around 1,000 kilograms of downforce. That's definitely going to help keep the rear end glued to the tarmac. So here we get a quick look at the interior and the dashboard. And I mean, in the steering wheel, I mean, this thing screams race car in so many different ways. I mean, you have the digital dash here. You have this huge display. I'm guessing this is where you control everything else in the vehicle, as well as your music, your climate control. Yep, I see it here. You got your climate control, your music, and this is the wave of the future when it comes to the automotive world. I'm personally not a huge fan of having this huge tablet right here in the center to control every function of the vehicle outside of driving, but I understand why it's there. I mean, it's simple, it's easily replaced if something happens to it, but I personally am not a huge fan of it. Same for the gauge cluster here. Call me old school here, but I'm just a huge fan of the traditional tachometer and speedometer. There's nothing like seeing the needle just rev up and drop it. I just, call me old fashioned, but that's what I love. Overall, I'm not gonna knock on this display. I really do like it. I like the information we got here. It looks like you got tire pressure, tire temperature. Of course, you got your speed, your tach, your gear, as well as a few other things. It looks like the different mode that you're in, the weather outside. So I can't complain on it. I actually like it. I just a huge fan of the original tachometers. So here we get another better look at the interior of the W1, and as you can see, the seats look a little weird, but in the video they explained that the seats are actually integrated into the monocoque of the vehicle. So that in itself is a little bit different, but the reasoning for that is to keep the driver connected strictly to the vehicle, so that way the driver has the most feel of what's going on under their seat when it comes to what the vehicle is doing and in its connection to the road. I think that's a really great approach, but I do feel that it may not be the most comfortable approach, and that this car is for the enthusiast or someone who's going to track this vehicle themselves. For those who would love to drive it, this could prove to be very, very close to a Formula One experience. But what is adjustable is the steering wheel and the pedals that actually looks like they're telescopic to actually meet the driver where they are to help with their driving position. But McLaren claims that this is the perfect driving position. And here we get into that monocoque design a little bit more. McLaren showcasing there the frame, the monocoque, and how the brakes and everything all fit together in the vehicle. Looks very stunning. Okay, so it looks like we made it to the end of the web page here, and by the looks of things, they have 4 different categories that were spoken about in the video that we can click on, and it looks like it'll take us right to that portion of the video. Let's click on it and see. Yep. So overall, what are my thoughts? I think that this vehicle looks stunning, and McLaren has delivered on yet another beautiful vehicle. I think that this is McLaren's answer to the vehicles like the Mercedes AMG 1 or the Aston Martin Valkyrie, that, you know, with the new F1 inspired vehicles that have been designed here recently. And I think it's going to compete very well. I do think that the amount of power it creates is crazy, but same thing with the AMG 1 and the Valkyrie. Those things have 1,000+ horsepower as well. And I just really think that this is a really good successor to the P1, because clearly it's taking cues from the P1, and it's, you know, the W1, which is the next one up in the series. So, you know, we started off with the F1, then we went to the P1, and now we're at the W1. So I think McLaren have done it again. But all in all, I think that McLaren have knocked this one out of the park. The only gripe I have with this vehicle so far, just looking at it, is the trend that we're seeing here in the automotive industry, where there's this huge tablet in the middle of the center console that controls every function of the vehicle outside of driving the vehicle itself. I'm not a huge fan of that, but once again, I stated earlier that I get why it's there. Overall, I'm loving the vehicle. I think that they've nailed the design, they've nailed the functions, they've nailed it all around. But let me know what your thoughts are in the comments below. And if you are enjoying this type of content, don't forget to leave a like. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. It does help me out a lot. I would like to hear from you all, so let me know in the comments below what you think about this. Have McLaren nailed down the real supercar, or is this just another supercar? Do you like it? What do you like about it? What don't you like about it? I would love to hear from you. And also, if you would like to see more content like this, let me know in the comments below. And with that, I'm going to end it here, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Thank you for watching.